Hey everyone, Mac is back, and today we're going to talk about the best of the best when it comes to army stats in your commanders. Which ones that are going to give you the biggest buff to your just simply your stat line. And I'm going to put a tier list together here, and hopefully, based on what commanders that you have and the quality that you have them, you'll be able to pick the right ones if you're just purely looking for some stats. So let's get to it. Alright, so here we are with just a bunch of commanders that I picked out. I tried to narrow it down. It's just so difficult sometimes, especially when we're talking about army stats, because there are so many in here that have that can really boost what you need. So I'm just going to randomly go through here and put them into some tiers. I'll probably have a little bit of maneuvering as well, because you just never know. We're going to take out the consideration of the awakening. Clearly, all these commanders are awakened, and they're awakened. If they're going to have to be awakened for their stats, because once you get them to that 3 stars, and that's basically what I'll be talking about. Is this just kind of assume that every single one of these is gold quality and at 3 stars. That's just the little part that I want to say. Now if we start with Lats here, she has that 40% infantry attack, defense, and health across the board. So I'm going to put her initially in the top tier. I may move that, I'm not sure. Actually, I'm going to put her in the second tier, because she does have that 40% is the highest in the game, other than I believe it's Egbert, who has 50% bow attack. Everything else is a 40%, 30% or 40% generally for the troop type, or each troop type. Jamie has the total attack, and he also has spear, health, and defense as well, and they're only at 30% though. They're not the 40%. So just on a basic stat standpoint, he has to come down a tier just because of that. Now, the reason I'm having him down a tier though is you could actually argue that he is actually either even or above Lats, because if you do run a 3-troop line, then you're talking about 45% attack on top of his already spear. So I guess, and then actually even beyond that, I'm actually going to move him up. See, I'm talking myself into it, because if you have him awakened to 3 stars, then his 15% total attack is actually going to be around 40%. So that's actually probably better than what you think with Lats. So I'm actually going to move Lats down a little bit and kind of put this in there. I think that's where that needs to go. And then when you look at Garel, he's decent, but he's not at the Lats level, so he's definitely below that. We're going to put him at C right now. I may even put him down to D. We'll have to see what happens. And then you have Hector, who's actually pretty good too. He has those 40% stat as well. I kind of think he's a little bit better than Garel, but not as good as Lats. So that's why I think I'm going to move this down and probably stick him right in there, in that area. And then you also have Chris, who's very similar to Garel, so I think we put him in that same type of tier there. And when you're looking at Andrea, she has 30% across the board for her infantry stats, so she's not quite at Lats level. So I think she goes in this tier right here. And Drake actually has the 40%, so I think he's very similar to Lats. So he's just spear instead of infantry. And Enzo, same type of thing. He is cavalry, so these are very specific commanders to the troop types that you're working with. Now we look at Annie, who has the total attack and a total defense. She's and I think she has some spear in there too, if I remember correctly. So she's actually pretty good as well with the total attack. Is she up there with Jamie? If we're not including the her ability, her 4-star ability, which his 4-star is actually pretty good too. So that'll be something for a future video. But I kind of think she's behind Jamie, but I think they're in the very similar tier in that respect. Julian actually buffs every single troop type except for bows, so he is a total attack, and he does a lot. That's a lot of damage. So I'm going to put him up here in that top one, because he's so flexible that you can put him in any one of your any one of your formations, and you'll be good to go. Arya has the total attack and the infantry defense. So that's kind of what this tier here is for the total attack, but in that infantry defense, and she has a little bit of infantry health as well, and I think that's actually pretty good. I kind of like her in that tier just a little bit with that total attack. Now, just a little thing to note is that if you only run one troop line, then I think you switch these two tiers here, because these are total attack, and actually these ones here you might actually move down further if you're just talking about pure stats itself. And then we look at Rob, who actually you would think would be in the same as Gorell and Chris, but that's not the case, because he just doesn't have enough cavalry attack, so I think he's in the lower tier when it comes to this. Seg has total attack as well, and just considering him and considering what he has, I kind of think he's in this tier here because of his total attack and total defense. I think he would be. I think he's a little more flexible than Arya is, because Arya is the infantry. So I actually think he kind of goes in probably just in front of Arya, and that's how I'm ranking these tiers, by the way. The very first one here, if you have multiple in a line, I think I would take Jaime over the rest of these, just for that sake. Then you have Selma, who at 4 or 3 stars she's actually pretty good with her 2 troop types. Plus she has the total health, and I guess if you're running, these ones go for each one, and then she has the health to go on top of that. So she's sort of flexible, but she leaves out 1 troop type. So I kind of think she goes in. Here, and maybe just ahead of Hector. I think she goes in this tier, but I think she goes like right in there, not including her 4-star ability, of course. This one here, Miranda, is similar or the same as Andrea as well. So I would put her there in that, and you can invert these depending on which ones you're working with. And then Layla, she has the total attack, and then she's in there with the cav health and defense, and not including her 4-star ability, she's actually not too great. I think I might put her. She's got the total attack in there, but I don't know. Like, I guess Jaime. She's very similar to Jaime, I guess, in that respect, right? Because she has the cavalry, but she has that total attack, and you buff that up at 3 stars. So okay. I was gonna say, I was thinking you're way down below, but actually no, that's not too bad. But the problem is a lot of people don't run cavalry front lines, so that kind of negates her, her a little bit. She's a little better than Arya in that respect, so she's got to be a little better than her. And when it comes to Seg, and he has right around that 40% total attack, which is similar, and then defense, which is a little more flexible, I think, with his total. So I think she kind of pops right in there. So if you're, I think that's about where we are. Maybe I overvalue some of these, and maybe I undervalue some, but I kind of think that's where we are with this tier list. So this is for just stats in general. So imagine all of these commanders are awakened to 3 stars, and obviously in gold quality, so they're going to have their max stats. And this is kind of where I would put their stats. And you can change this up, of course, especially when it comes to how many lines you're running as well. So if I'm looking at, if I want to go free to play, well, Julian's not free to play, neither is Jaime. Annie, you're not going to put in there even when you. Now, Seg is not free to play, but if you had him, if you had him as I would say low spender, you're still going up here, but free to play, Arya goes in the top tier as well. Actually, I probably even invert both of these, just depending on what you were doing. She's not free to play either. So you're going to take all of these out of here, except for the bottom ones. So I would just taking them all out. You're probably looking at just essentially moving these 2 up here for this, and then even Rob, right there, something like that. So free to play, that's about where I would be going with those as well. So I hope this gives you an idea of your stats and which ones that you need. So until next time, Mac out.